Hello everyone, thanks for coming outside with me today. Today I would like to compare and contrast full containment rests and drop away rests. So things like the Whisker Biscuit or Hostage versus something like a QAD, NAP, or even a Ripcord. There's always debate on whether you shoot something like a Whisker Biscuit or whether you shoot something that's like a QAD HDX, which is personally what I shoot, but they are both good in their own right. And so I would like to come over to the bench here and show you how both of them work in case you're unfamiliar with them, and then talk about them a little bit. So these are two of the basic styles of full containment rests and drop away rests. The one here on the left, we have a 3 brush bristle full containment hostage rest. And I'm going to put this segment of carbon arrow through here. Just kind of show you how this works. So you can either kind of push this through or slide this through, and as it's bolted onto the bow, it would look like this. And as the arrow would go through, the 3 different fletches would pass through those 3 open spaces, 1 on the top and 2 on the sides. And because it's full containment, you could sit here and shake this and do all that sort of stuff, and it would never fall out. The second version is a version of the drop away. This one is an NAP Apache, and the way this works, you can see it's a lot more complicated. There's a lot more moving parts. You know, over here on this hostage, we literally just have a couple of Allen screws, and this one was also as a much cheaper model. It's made completely out of plastic, so that's a little bit different. But regardless of that, this NAP here, as you can see, it has the windage and elevation knobs, but it also has the blade which goes up and down as I pull on this cord here. This cord, as it would be on the bow, would actually be tied into the bus cable, and as you drew the bow back, the bus cable would pull down, and as it was pulling down, it would pull down and raise the blade, and then the arrow would lay inside the notch of that blade. As you release the bow, the bus cable goes back upwards, and since the arrow is actually able to hold itself there for a split second, this actually clears out of the way much faster than when I'm doing it. It's faster than you and I can blink. Clears out of the way, and then the arrow shoots through here with nothing touching it whatsoever. So since both rests accomplish the same exact thing, they hold your arrow until it is shot down range, why do you have to choose one over the other? There are many differences between the two rests that make people make the choice of whether they shoot a full containment rest or whether they shoot a drop away rest. And I'd like to go over some of those things, all the way from price all the way to reliability. We'll start again with the full containment rest. So the household name is Whisker Biscuit, and there are many variations of it, cheap knockoffs all the way down to something like this, which is, instead of being a full disc of bristles, it's just the 3 different brushes here which hold the arrow in place. This style of arrow rest is rugged and reliable. Granted, this one is made out of a thick polymer plastic and not machined metal, so that in terms of its durability is a knockoff, so you might want to go a little bit up in terms of its price and buy the brand name Whisker Biscuit, which is made by Trophy Ridge. But other than that, they are rugged and reliable and have been around forever. The older full blade rests and containment rests of such nature, they've been around and have been shot for decades. A lot of archers still use them and still enjoy them. Obviously this came off of one of my bows back here, so I even still shoot them. They're very simple. The windage and elevation changes on them are just with the turn of an Allen screw can easily be changed. And its biggest winner personally for me is the price. You can get a super cheap knockoff, something like this, for around $5 to $10 on Amazon right now, which is insane. And I'll show you why in a minute when I compare it against the price of a typical fall-away rest right now. The Whisker Biscuit brand name right now is going for $36 on Amazon. And that still might seem kind of steep for just something that just holds an arrow, but trust me, compared to a drop away, it's not that expensive. So it has all these really good advantages to it. So what are the cons? Why do people shoot a drop away over shooting a full containment? Well, the number one thing that a lot of people like to harp on these days is speed. And because of the friction, because the arrow is fully contact the entire time, and actually I'll put a link in the description below of a slow motion video of fletchings contacting a Whisker Biscuit rest. It was done by Field & Stream. It is a pretty violent collision, and it does slow down your arrow. Today's archers are all about speed. Myself, not really, but a lot of people are, and speed sells. So shooting a drop away which gets out of the way and allows the arrow to be untouched as it goes, allows the speed of the arrow to stay on the upper echelon of its possibility. Whereas when you shoot a full containment rest like this, there is the friction, it does slow it down, and does cost you a few feet per second. Alright, now we move on to everybody's favorite right now, which is a drop-away rest. I personally shoot a QAD HDX on my Hoyt Element back here. This is an NAP Apache. Both are very good rests. If you buy, again, just like with the full containment rest style, if you buy a brand name like an NAP, like a QAD, like a Ripcord, you're going to get what you paid for. So you're going to get a good quality machined aluminum, good solid parts, drop-away rest. The pros of shooting a rest like this. The number one biggest thing, and I alluded to it earlier, is the speed. When this blade gets out of the way, that arrow has nothing touching it. I don't know exactly what the feet per second saving is, but it has to be significant enough because enough people are moving over to it. Second thing, personally, is fletching clearance. And again, if you watch that video that I'll put a link to in the description, you can see how violent that fletching clearance is. And although I know that doesn't really affect accuracy under 40 yards as much as it probably could, I know past 40 yards, a Whisker Biscuit definitely has a little bit of accuracy effect. People can argue as much as they want. It's just my personal preference, what I've personally seen. Because the drop away gets totally out of the way, it's up to the arrow to do the job. So I like shooting a drop away. I shoot out to long ranges of 60, 70, 80 yards sometimes. And so having that, that extra speed at that distance and also that lack of fletching clearance definitely puts this on my bow. But with a properly tuned rest, you also have an improperly tuned rest, which brings me to the cons of shooting a drop away. Unlike a Whisker Biscuit or another full containment rest, if this kind of rest goes out of tune, let's say this cord here slides up the bus cable a little bit and it doesn't come all the way up, or it goes up but it doesn't come down as fast as it should, you're going to get some wicked arrow clearance issues. So worst case scenario with something like this is you go to shoot a 3D tournament, you go to go hunting or something like that, the cable here snaps, it moves up the knot within your bus cable or something like that, you now have completely rendered your bow useless. You are now out of a rest. So because of that, a lot of people have opted to stay with the Whisker Biscuit. There's no moving parts. There's no mechanical failure. Another thing is that if it breaks or if there's an issue, normally this cord here that attaches to the blade is served into the bus cable, which means you have to press the bow in order to allow the strings to have slack in order for you to put this between the strands of the bus cable and serve it into place. If you're an average person or you live several hours away from your nearest bow shop that's capable of doing that, and you have a problem, you're now up the creek without a paddle. I'm very fortunate. I have a bow press. I can work on all my bows without a hitch. But for maybe you at home, or if you're far away or you don't own such a bow press, you can't work on something like this. So that's another disadvantage that you personally have to consider. Of course, the final thing is what I also alluded to earlier, which is the price. $37 for Whisker Biscuit right now on Amazon, $97 for the QAD Ultra X or Ultra HDX. NAP Apache runs for about $75. So you could literally buy 2 or even 3 Whisker Biscuit rests, have backups on backups with just one of these. So in terms of price alone, if you're just getting into the sport or you're new to the sport and you don't want to put that much money into your equipment right now, going with a full containment over something like a drop away might be a good idea for you. Last thing I'll talk about is accuracy. Everybody's worried about accuracy. Well, personally, I don't think it matters much about the rest. I really think it matters to the archer. A lot of people like to get into heated discussions over whether or not the Whisker Biscuit can be accurate because of that fletching contact, or whether or not the drop away is tuned correctly, whether it affects nock travel on the bow. I don't really think it matters. If the bow is tuned and the rest is on and everything's fine, 40 yards and under, you're not going to see difference between the 2 different styles. So hopefully I was able to clarify a few things for you. Hopefully I was able to help you make a better informed decision on which style of rest you should be shooting. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments section below. I'm always happy to answer as many questions as I can. I hope you're able to get out and enjoy the sport of archery. Enjoy the sport of archery hunting if you so choose. Enjoy God's beautiful creation, and we'll get to see you next time.